Hi, Marwan. Hope your wedding is going according to plan, and hopefully you've already, I think by the time you're watching this, you've already left the United States and will be heading on your cool honeymoon. Hope you have a good time there. Remember, have fun. Don't study the whole time. But, when you have downtime there, or when you're waiting in the hotel or your train station or something like that, or sit in the airport. Hope you can get some of the brain work done of all this stuff. So cool. So we talked last time about how our battle strategy was to use arpeggio to get your ear up, or your oral skills up to a higher level. So that when you solo, you'll be listening for certain things or hearing like destinations of certain notes and musical direction, for that matter. So to do that, we kind of have to get your baseline kind of theory. Remember I said before that you want as much theory to do what you want to do. And to do this sort of stuff and to use programs like arpeggio and get the most out of them, you kind of have to know some basic music theory. And I'll go through a little bit of that with you. So I got your notes right here. 4 points I want to talk about. So the first one is I want you to review the musical alphabet. You should be able to rattle that off to me. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, G sharp, G, so on and so forth, all the way back, forwards and backwards. The faster you are at that, the less thinking time you'll have when you're doing exercises that you're going to do here. In the arpeggio, it's all in standard notation. We might need to go through and maybe, I'm not sure if I never think I ever asked you if you read standard notation. We'll figure that out. But first review your musical alphabet, see it forwards and backwards, and then the next concept you need to understand before you start understanding like intervallic distance. The nice thing about your arpeggio is that it's not asking you for specific information for that right now. It's just asking you, is it higher or lower? So that I'm not too worried about starting off with that in tandem with this. So the first thing we need to understand are intervals. Intervals are just a way of representing musical distance through a numbering system. The first one, the first two intervals that you need to understand are whole steps and half steps. In our Western tonal system, a half step is the shortest musical distance, although if you go to other cultures, they have quarter and the eighth, there's super tiny bends, I'm sure you're familiar with, grew up in the Middle East, that don't rely on just on what we're doing here. So just understand that this is not like the end all be all, there's other stuff out there in life. This is for us for right now. A whole step is literally 2 frets on the guitar. So it's like saying, for example, if I play on my root 6, if I play a G on root 6, right there, if I play this A here, so if I play A on root 6 right here, if I go a whole step, 0, 1, 2, see what I have counted there? I didn't count the start. I went 0, 1, 2 half steps, or 1 whole step, basically 2 frets. So I went 2 frets there. I end up at the note B, right? That's the next letter in the alphabet right there. So A, whole step above A is B. Now wait a minute. If I start on B right here, remember there's no B sharp, right? So if I go a whole step up from B sharp, because there's no go a whole step from B and go up to here, there is no B sharp, so it goes B, C, C sharp. So you can say that C sharp is a whole step above B. Even though when we did A, a whole step above A was B, because there's no C sharp, we just go right to the C, it moves us into the next letter. So that's a whole step. A half step is just literally 1 fret. So a whole step is just 2 of those put together. So say if I start here on G, for example, on root 6, and play that, if I go up a half step, I'm now on G sharp. So a half step above G is G sharp. So that goes into assignment number 1 that I want you to do. I want you to practice just saying notes and going, A, what's a whole step above A? A sharp, B, B, okay, cool. What's a whole step above E? E, F sharp. F sharp's a whole step above E, right? So I want you to practice just that brain work of you sitting there on the train or on the airplane, just quizzing yourself what's a whole step and what's a half step from your random notes in the musical alphabet. So you can have a page where you just write notes, the beginning letter, and then like, okay, a whole step above, a half step above, that sort of thing. And you can do the opposite direction. We'll talk about that later. Next thing we need to understand, now that you know what a whole step and a half step is how to construct a scale. And it's not some mystical thing where it's just random for each scale. It's a formula that moves throughout the musical alphabet. And we have to really get the musical alphabet, that way we can make these faster. So what I've done right here is I've drawn out this really convoluted chart right here. I'm going to explain it to you. Is that what I did above here is I wrote up my musical alphabet from C to C. So your musical alphabet doesn't need to start on A all the time. You can start on whatever letter you wanted to, or whatever sharp you wanted to for that matter. Right, so I've written mine to start on C. And I've written out every letter in the musical alphabet, right? So I didn't skip any. I went C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, C. I didn't miss anything. They're all there, right? And now that you understand what a whole step is, the formula for a major scale is whole, whole, half, as in whole step, half step, and then whole step, half step. I would memorize it. There are some things that we just need to memorize in this thing, and this is one of them. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. I would burn that into your skull. I would tattoo it. I would put it on your notes, right? This should be like ingrained. If you want to understand how to be a better improviser and understand intervals, you need to master this thing right here. Right. So what I did was I have my principal note right here, my starting note, which is C. And I circled that because that's my starting note. And I went a whole step above C and I landed on, guess what? It's D, right? And then the next one, hey, you guessed it, it's a whole step above. I go to E, right? Because that's a whole step above the D. I'm circling these notes as I go along, right? It's telling me what notes are in C major, right? Because that's my starting point. I'm starting on C. This is a major scale formula. And since I'm starting on C and it's a major scale formula, I stick those two things together and I call it C major, right? And then you go E, right? It's a whole step. Now you need a half step. E to F. Well, that's nice right there. Nice half step distance. Now I'm going to do another whole step. F to G is a whole step, right? G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. And then B to C is a half step distance, right? Now, what I want you to do, that's the second part of your assignment, is I want you to pick 3 starting points this week. If you don't get them all, I understand. I know you're super busy with the wedding. Trust me, I've been there. I know what it's like. And to try to shoo your family out of the house as this has been like day 4, they've been nothing been surrounding you, so I get that. Save this for like the plane and for maybe a train ride or something like that when you're not looking out the window with the pretty scenery. So anyway, so what I want you to do is I want you to pick different starting points. You're going to pick starting point G, D, and A. So what that means is that I'm going to, instead of starting C here, I'm going to start with the letter, what did I say, G. So I'll go G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, so on and so forth. And I want you to apply this formula here, right? And then do that with D and do that with A if you have time. Start with each one. So in this one here, you start on D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, so on and so forth. Do that same thing with A and circle the notes of the major scale. That'll be important for understanding intervals. For the next video lesson, which I'll do, I'll go into more depth like what are intervals and different kinds of intervals. That way, when you see the Arpeggio app, you'll understand what they're talking about. Cool. So do those for me. That's 2 parts of your assignment. Third part of your assignment, I wish I could show you, but actually I'm on the device right now, is I want you to work on Arpeggio. Do basic intervals. So when you start the program, you'll start at the very beginning. It's all just very easy stuff, relatively speaking. Once you've been doing it for a long time, like me, like 20-something years, it'll seem like old hat. So anyway, I want you to work on basic intervals, and I want you to work on basic musical melodic dictation, right? Now, intervals, don't let it worry you that you don't understand what a perfect fifth or a major third is right now. Don't worry about that. What this app is doing at this point is that it's just saying, is this note the same? And is this note different? And which one is higher? Which one's the higher interval? So you hear like one where it might be the tone, might be this, where it might go. And then the other one will do, which one is higher? And then I think, you've had enough training that you can tell which one is higher. So that's what it's doing right now. It's just like, is this note same or is this note different? Don't feel weird starting there. That's really where I started at when I went to music school. They're like, is this note the same or is this note different? Because I think of it as kind of like a chef. If you blindfold them, can they tell the difference between pork and chicken, right? And it'd be funny, I watch those cooking shows where they actually don't know the difference, like just by taste, which one's the pork and which one's the chicken, right? So this is really what we're doing. We're starting from the very beginning of like, this is note different or is it not different? Basic melodic dictation is just, it'll give you 3 notes and it'll have you try to figure it out on the keyboard. Try to use that musical distance. Is it going up or is it going down? And we'll talk more about the scale. That's why I want you to know this, because if you know this, then this is going to make this a whole lot easier. Don't fool around with rhythmic dictation necessarily just yet, because I want to go over with you what those different rhythmic symbols are if you don't know them already. If you do know them, let me know. That way I won't waste our video time doing that. All right, man. Like I said, hope you have a great time. Looking forward to hearing all about your crazy adventures throughout Europe, and looking forward to seeing what you got for me for next time. All right, man. Take care.